Welcome to Animation One-to-Ones, brought to you by Squiggly Online Animation Magazine. I'm Ben Mitchell, Editor-in-Chief at Squiggly, and very pleased to bring you a chat between Martyn Warren and Josh Cooley, director of Transformers 1. Transformers, of course, needing no introduction. They're robots. Wait for it. In disguise! This movie marks their first ever fully CG animated feature-length outing. It's the untold origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron, better known as sworn enemies, but once were friends, bonded like brothers, who changed the fate of Cybertron forever. Now, if the name Josh Cooley sounds familiar, well, you may know him from a little film he wrote and directed called Toy Story 4, with other writing credits including Inside Out. Not too shabby. So let's hand it over to Martyn and Josh to learn about his take on the classic Transformers franchise.
What was it about the film and its script that made you interested to direct this particular project?
Yeah, the thing that, when I first saw the script and it said like untitled Transformers, film, I thought, well, they made like 9 of these movies. What's different here? And right away, I could see that it was really it being an origin story and the relationship between Optimus Prime and Megatron before they became enemies. That's never been done before and never been seen on screen before. And also, it made me think the relationship is what's the core of this film. So it's a very human story. It's not just about the fact that there are robots on the outside physically, but we can really hit emotion with this storyline and make the audience, more in the relationship in a way. So I was excited to play with that and to see if we could make these characters that people know and love show a whole different side of them, so it makes them feel even more, emotionally attached.
From the short films and that you directed at Pixar alongside Toy Story 4, what was the biggest takeaway from that experience that you wanted to bring for Transformers?
Actually, I think it was that same thing of the making them feel as human as possible. I've worked on I've worked with toys, with rats on Ratatouille, with with cars even, and it's always that's what they are physically. But in order for the audience to really connect with those characters, the audience has to feel something that they relate to. And so I took my that was my career started there, but I took that feeling and wanting to bring that into Transformers and to really have the audience really connect with these characters in a way they had never connected before.
What was it like to direct at Paramount compared to with Paramount, sorry, compared to directing with Pixar?
Yeah, I was at Pixar for 18 years, and the thing that with Pixar is everything is you can create a whole film in that building with everybody there, and with all the other studios and with Paramount, it's you're crafting the artwork and the story and the shots within Paramount, but then we had ILM as an outside vendor for all the animation. And so I would travel. First of all, every day I'd talk with ILM over Zoom to go through animation, and then I would often travel to Sydney to work with that team in person. And but it was great. The talent on both sides is great and awesome. And I'm from I went to school for animation or to be a 2D animator, so I speak the lingo and I appreciate the awesome talent that they all have. And so it was really fun to be able to go to Sydney and just spend time directly with the animators. That was very similar to how my having the animators in the room.
Did you have a particular character that you were fond to work on, and was there was there a particular way you wanted to portray them, either in a unique way compared to previous versions of that said character?
It's hard to just pick one because this being an origin story, you want to present them in a way where you can see growth happening that will eventually become what we're familiar with. It was really fun to have Bumblebee have a voice and to put him in a position where he can not be as he could be more innocent than any other characters and just kind of comment on what's happening. So that was fun. But then with D16 becoming Megatron, it was really really fun to have him be a character that is a complete opposite of where he's going to end up. And so starting him in a place where I wanted the audience to kind of go, oh, I understand their relationship, and it's fun to watch these two together, so that it's going to fall apart eventually. But it was like, okay, can we start them in a place where you wouldn't know who's the good guy or the bad guy if you just started watching the movie? So that was fun to do.
What was your favorite scene to work on?
All of Act 3, the moment when they finally become Optimus and finally become Megatron, and the having both those moments happen at the same time. I really wanted to have the dialogue drop out and just let the music carry that whole moment, so it felt very operatic and just lyrical, and because we've set up all the dominoes have been set up throughout Act 1 and Act 2, so Act 3 is just letting them all fall down and just seeing how that happens.
This year marks the 40th anniversary of the first animated like Transformers film.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And obviously since then there's been like loads of like television shows as well as like the Michael Bay films. How do you think this one will sit alongside those for fans in the years to come?
The goal from the beginning was I want this to feel like a Transformers film, because if it doesn't, then you've missed the mark. But I want it to feel familiar to fans, but I want it to feel familiar, but then to also show a side they've never seen before. And the response I've gotten so far is that we did that. They feel like this is a quintessential Transformers film, and everything they've loved about Transformers is encapsulated within this film. So I'm very, very, very proud of that, and I hope that it continues to people continue to feel that way.
Because there's a lot of like big actors, like big named actors in the film. What was it like to collaborate like with them? Like, what was it like to collaborate with such a diverse cast?
It was great. It was really great. Talking to each one of them at the beginning, it was clear to me that I mean, it's kind of obvious Transformers been around for 40 years, like you said, but everybody has some sort of connection to it. Whether they've grown up watching the cartoon or playing with the toys, or they had a brother that did it, or so. Like, everybody's very, very familiar with it, and so I didn't have to sell I didn't usually when I'm talking to an actor or talking about what the character is or anything, they really got it immediately, and so it was the fun was, how do you, like with Optimus or Megatron, how do you start the character in a position that they will eventually become that? And so it became very much like, this sounds kind of cheesy maybe, but it felt like you were playing with the toys all over again. Not just doing the voices, but also with animation. It felt very familiar, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. And sorry, I just have like one more question just to ask. So for any upcoming animator or director who wants to work for studios like Pixar or Paramount, what key advice would you give them?
I think the most important thing to remember is the story that you're telling and why you want to tell that story. And there's so many, as a director, you get asked so many very, very specific questions all day long, from what does this character look like, to how long should this shot be, and all these questions, and it all needs to be serving the point of the story. And it's easy to get distracted by cool, flashy ideas and everything, but if they're not servicing the story, then it's not gonna work. So my advice would be to think, if you want to direct something, or you're thinking of directing something, it's like, what is it that you actually want to tell? What's the story you're telling, and what's the emotional truth that you're trying to express? And holding on to that, because that'll keep you guided throughout making the film.
Thanks to Josh Cooley and Martyn Warren, and to find out how to see Transformers 1, visit transformersmovie.co.uk. And for everything Squiggly, be sure to follow us at facebook.com/SquigglyMagazine and at Squiggly Animation on Instagram, at Squiggly on X. And we've also added Blue Sky to our socials at squiggly.bsky.social. Of course, the website for all your animation news, reviews, interviews, events, podcasts, videos, etc. is squiggly.com, SKWIGLY. I've been Ben Mitchell, and until next time, happy animating.